Hi, welcome to Off Script. I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Today on the show, it's Thunderbolts, baby. The new Marvel is out, Andy, and we're gonna well, we already watched it, I guess, but we're gonna talk about it. You might have heard about a late title change just a few days into this film coming out. We're gonna talk about that and whether or not Marvel's got any real standing here. Are they cooked? Are they washed? Or is this a welcome triumphant return? We're also going to talk about Black Bag, new Stephen Soderbergh feature that we kind of missed late last year, mostly because we'd watched Presents in theater. Well, I say late last year. It came out this year, didn't it? Black Bag's a
Yes.
2025 joint. Oh my God, dude. Soderbergh, he's putting out so many movies, I can't keep up. We're going to take a look at the news. We're going to talk about this Megan chatbot. I don't know if you heard about this. You text this thing while you're watching Megan, and it'll text you back with like facts about the movie. Blue Mouse is trying to do this whole second screening thing. Variety did a great write-up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some upcoming trailers. That new Weapons trailer looks pretty sick. We'll get to that in a second. Before we get to all of it, we got to get the news. Before the news, I got to know, Andy, we've been away for a week. I was traveling. I went to Portland. It was incredible. Thanks for asking. What have you been watching? What have you had going on? Fill me in. Catch me up.
Been catching up on a lot of things, some TV, which I'll get to in a moment. But I did want to touch on Havoc, which was a new action film by Netflix starring Tom Hardy, directed by Gareth Evans of the Raid fame. Man, this was a real struggle. It's like the most paint by number action film I've seen in a while. Tom Hardy plays, a tough cop who doesn't play by the rules but gets results and is rooting out corruption and every like procedural you've ever heard. It starts with this about 5 minute chase scene that is entirely CGI. Like it's a car chase. It looks like a video game cutscene, and like there's not a single real vehicle in it. And it's cut between, the highway stuff is clearly CGI, and then you'll have some people in the back of a car or in the back of a truck, those sorts. So it cuts between that to try and hide the fact that it's all CGI, but it's not fooling anyone. The plot is super convoluted. That there's rival gangs, there's corrupt police. Forrest Whitaker's in it as the corrupt mayor, and his son's involved, and his girlfriend's involved, and there's the Chinese gang, and Timothy Oliphant is in it as well. There is a great action set piece in the middle of the movie. You have to wait 55 minutes before the action starts, and a pretty long action scene. But the action itself is kind of cartoonish and over the top. It's one of those things where everyone has an automatic weapon and is just firing like hundreds of rounds at each other. But then, of course, no one is actually getting hit half the time besides faceless goons. A bunch of people show up out of nowhere in this big club fight with weapons kind of seemingly out of nowhere. They all have like cleavers and like bladed weapons. There's a couple of cool things in there, but it's just like it's hard to keep up with what's really going on. Everyone has infinite ammo like a video game, and it's just so boring. Tom Hardy doesn't really get in on a lot of the action. He's definitely just like he's there for the bad cop acting scenes, and then he kind of lets his stunt double do all the work in the action scenes.
Yeah.
But man, it was just crucially boring. It took me like four sessions to watch to get through it.
I haven't watched it, but yeah, before we were talking about putting this episode together, I went and hit YouTube and just looked up. I'll often go, like, for films we're going to talk about, I'll look up reviews and just see what other thumbnails are people using? How are people titling their reviews? Maybe there's some sneaky way I can, like, get us in front of the algo or something, right? And I looked up Havoc, and dude, everybody's dunking on this movie. It doesn't make sense. Like, on paper, I haven't seen it. You watched it. On paper, it's Gareth Evans, director of The Raid. Very exciting, right? You got Tom Hardy, Forrest Whitaker, Timothy Oliphant. Pretty good cast. You got that like John Wick setting. It's like grimy and city, and they go into a club with like cool lights and stuff, and you got a bunch of guns and action and unloaded ammo. Like, doesn't sound like it'd be a boring movie. That doesn't sound like that's where that'd go. But I guess it's just a whole lot more drama. I mean, what's
I
missing
mean, it's
here?
not even drama because again, it's a convoluted plot of like a bunch of the heads of a gang get killed. They blame it on the mayor's son. It wasn't really the mayor's son, but everyone's after him. There's some subplot involving police corruption, which I didn't really make sense. It's hitting all these beats we've all seen before, and it just kind of takes forever to get through them. Tom Hardy does do a good American accent, and he does a lot of really good like eyeball acting, which is a lot of
Sure.
fun. It's just it just takes so long to get to the action, and all the procedural cop stuff is just real boring and just not interesting. And by the time he finally gets to the action, it's just so cartoonish and fake.
Another Netflix dud. I feel like Hardy needs a better agent, man. Like, I know he did fine on Venom, but like he just didn't seem particularly like, I don't know, fulfilled by those roles. And like I haven't really seen him doing other stuff. Like he's just in such a weird spot right now. Whittaker, meanwhile, like could retire and be fine. I think he's just getting a bag, right?
Yeah, he's fine. He's not in it very long. Reminds me a little bit of Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, which with the first one of those movies actually has a lot of really good action, and it's very well coordinated. Like there's a lot of one takes where they had to learn lots of fight and gun choreography, and it's much more down to earth, and it's really impressive because of the amount of work. Like this is it's so sloppy all the time. Tom Hardy does have a good flying kick at one point that made me laugh. I had to rewind and watch it, but it's missing that kind of more grounded entertainment. Like, oh wow, this is really an action star. Like I said, Tom Hardy's like, got his back turned, let the stunt double take all the hits half the time.
Yeah, I mean the trailer makes it look like it's an action-packed 90 minutes, right? Like lots of handheld, shaky cam, big action. Like that stuff looks like a good time. But also, yeah, it's intercut with like Tom Hardy and Forrest Whitaker like talking in a room and being tense with one another, which is exciting. I just saw a poster the other day for Netflix's The Old Guard 2, starring Charlize Theron, which we watched The Old Guard here on this show. Thought it was fine. They did Extraction 2. You mentioned Extraction. You think we're getting a Havoc 2 at some point?
I mean, maybe. It's allegedly one of the top, it's on the Netflix top 10, but like you can never really trust those since those are all in-house.
Yeah. All right, so gonna say soft pass. It sounds like maybe not a recommend.
Soft pass. Look up the club fight scene on YouTube. Look for the clips, because that's a little entertaining. That's 8 minutes worth your time.
Well, I haven't watched much because I was traveling. You have watched some prestige TV that I think is worth reporting on. What have you been watching over there?
So I watched the latest 2 episodes of The Rehearsal, Nathan Fielder's show. And this past episode, I watched episodes 2 and 3. Episode 3, which is called Pilot's Code, is probably literally some of the best TV I've ever seen in my life. Like I guarantee you have never seen anything like what happened in episode 3. And I don't want to get into it too much, other than to say the theme of the entire season is aviation safety, which is actually a very serious subject that we see in the first episode. Is a lot of times due to poor communication in the cockpit, and Nathan Fielder is generally trying to address this, but episode 3 starts with they meet this couple who has cloned their dog. Like their dog died and they cloned it, and they ended up getting 3 clones of it. But they say, well, the personality isn't really the same. So this is where the episode starts, and that's all I'm gonna say. And it's still somehow about airline safety. And the way it goes with all these episodes, you have no idea where they're gonna go. But it's literally some of the most brilliant things I've ever seen on TV. And even if you haven't watched any of The Rehearsal, you just go straight to episode 3, Pilot's Code, and check it out. It's gonna blow your mind.
I might have to. I've gotten so many memes and so much content from this episode of The Rehearsal specifically that I think I might have to go check it out. I kind of skipped the first season because it reminded me a lot of Nathan For You, and I was just watching a lot of TV. Season 2, I'm a couple behind here, but yeah, this one specifically seems to be like an Emmy nominated show or something. Like this just seems to have a lot of buzz around it. What else?
I've also watched the latest 2 episodes of The Last of Us, episode 3 and 4. Won't talk too much on that other than, Ellie is on a revenge mission with her pal Dina, and it's good. Last episode, very action-packed, lots happening. We meet Jeffrey Wright's character, Isaac, who he also plays in the video game itself, and we get a little bit more backstory on him. That show continues to impress, and that's one of my appointment viewing, like clear my schedule, 8 p.m. Sunday night, I'm watching The Last of Us.
It's stressing me out, man. I haven't had a lot of time to keep up with prestige TV, and obviously HBO always turns out. But after this last season of Severance, I thought it's sweeping the Emmys. Everybody get out of Severance's way. It's taking it home. And now I keep hearing about banger television. I'm like, dude, people are going to forget about Severance by the time the Emmys come out. It's going to be dead and buried. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
I wanted to mention I've dropped off the studio. I watched the first 5 episodes and it's fine, but I would rather watch The Rehearsal. I just can't get into the studio enough.
Yeah, the studio just got greenlit for season 2, and I have not watched since the second episode. And I liked it fine, but like I'm just busy. I don't have an hour to sit down and watch the studio, and I should probably check out the rehearsal, and I haven't caught up on Last of Us. Like I got too much good television out there. Like it's a problem of abundance. And it's an abundance problem with the studio, but I think it's a fine show. Glad they're getting another season, I guess. Curious to see where it heads next. We got to talk about the news. First story this week, probably the biggest story of anybody's movie podcast, I think. Tariffs. They're coming for the film industry, Andy. Hollywood Reporter's got this story. Trump says he's instituting a 100% tariff on films produced outside of the U.S. because the movie industry in America is dying. Good news, liberals. This is where I get to hop on my political soapbox on my movie podcast and tell you exactly what I think of the president. But I'm not gonna do that. This is a movie show, all right? We're gonna keep it straight here. We got our own opinions. I'm sure you do too. But for what it's worth, I think this is kind of a nothing story. It just kind of sounds sensational. What do you know about this, Andy?
So this was really bizarre. Late Sunday night, there was a tweet went out from the White House saying that 100% tariff would be put on films produced outside of the U.S., meaning foreign films. But a lot of American productions are produced outside of the U.S. as well for tax incentives. Vancouver's a big place to film, as well as London and other places outside the U.S., mostly because of tax incentives. And so it was kind of an idea to attack that and get more films made in the U.S., which is still pretty expensive. It just wasn't very clear is the thing. Like there were a whole lot of questions of like, well, what if something has already started filming outside of the U.S.? Is it grandfathered in? Is it exempt? There's just it's very gray. It's not very clear. And the White House has already kind of backpedaled on this, saying, well, nothing's been, no decisions have been made in finality yet. We're still assessing the situation. But it kind of freaked everyone out because everyone said this would, if instituted, it would kind of kill the film industry for good.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense as far as implementation goes. Tariffs on goods, in a way, are at least enforceable because if a good comes in a shipping container from another country, you can say when it comes into port, hey, that now costs more than it did before. Or when money is exchanged, like somewhere along the way, there is just an increase in fee. Okay, fine. But films are not that way. What are you going to tariff exactly? Like the hard drives coming back over from Ontario where Disney shot a third of Thunderbolts? Are you going to tariff like Tom Cruise when he's coming back in from his jet from filming Mission Impossible over in, I don't know, Romania? Like, do you tariff us and the price of the ticket? Is Netflix paying more? Are we just paying more? Like, there's no clear implementation strategy on any of this, and it just seems kind of bogus. I was reading that there was some theorizing that perhaps I don't know. He had reportedly the president had talked to actor Jon Voight about the movie industry. They had dinner, and Jon Voight was saying that we can't let the movie industry end up like Detroit or something. I don't know. I don't know enough about any of that to really say any of that firmly here, and probably shouldn't have even just said that bit. But from what I can tell, this just seems bogus. Like this just seems like some kind of smokescreen junk so they can continue cracking my student loans, which sucks. What do you think, Andy?
Like I said, wait to be seen what it actually looks like in practice, how it's implemented, if it's implemented. A lot of this kind of tariff talk has been announced and then quickly rolled back or backpedaled. So I think that's probably what's going to happen here. But you never know, because it could scare people out of productions that are maybe in negotiations right now. So we'll have to wait and see.
I got a big laugh out of The Daily Show. Jon Stewart had his Monday segment just this week. And the same night that Trump had announced this movie tariff thing, he announced that they were reopening Alcatraz. And Stewart dunked on him and said, like, when the people who worked at Alcatraz heard that, they were just like, we work at a museum. What are you talking about? Like, this, you can't just decide this is a prison today. Like, there's a lot more process that goes into that. So if more comes out of this movie thing, or I guess the Alcatraz thing, keep it here on Off Script. We'll keep you posted, but I don't know. I think it just sounds like bunk. Our next story, this is wild, dog. Guy Ritchie's making a Roadhouse movie? Yeah, Roadhouse 2. Guy Ritchie to direct sequel at Amazon MGM's hit action movie. This is reprising Jake Gyllenhaal's film, the last movie he did with, God, who's the director of that? They did all the fake fights. We covered it on this show. I was not into it, but it did well enough, I guess. What do you know about this, Andy?
Um, well, like you said, we reviewed this Roadhouse remake, which was a paltry attempt compared to the classic Patrick Swayze one.
Yes.
It's kind of boring, just really lacking the vibes. Jake Gyllenhaal got in amazing shape for it, at least. There's that. No word on story about how the second one, where they're going to go, if it's going to be in the same place or elsewhere. What other washed up UFC fighter they're going to get to to come in to come into the role. Previously embodied by Conor McGregor. So we don't really know much about it. I'm the same way. I'm surprised to see it greenlit after the first one, but those streaming numbers and stats they're a secret to everyone.
Yes. The previous director of the first film, Doug Liman. The thing I really hammed him on is when we covered the film. All of the fights were false. Like they used the CGI effect where they were basically like having the actors punch pillows and then kind of move them in closer to each other in post to make it look like they were hitting each other. And it just comes off looking real funny and odd in a way that did not work for me, but obviously general audiences appreciate it. Amazon's looking forward to getting a sequel here. I'm surprised it's Ritchie, right? Like I think like most folks who are familiar with his work, much prefer his original stuff, but also, my man's been a little lacking. He had that Interpreter movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and he had Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which was pretty good, and I think a welcome return to kind of his format. He's got this movie coming out now. The Covenant was his Jake Gyllenhaal Interpreter movie. Operation Fortune? Nope, that's not it. Fountain of Youth, starring John Krasinski and Natalie Portman. It's coming from Apple later this year. Yeah, that's his next big movie. He's also executive producing Prime's upcoming series, Young Sherlock. Oh no, did you hear about that? Oh no,
my goat
Sherlock.
washed.
Oh boy, yeah, oh boy, that's fine. I bet they got Robert Downey Jr. to do the voiceover when he's not busy filming Doctor Doom. I guess fine. I guess it's probably good Richie's getting a paycheck and he doesn't have to write it, right? Like it's just going to be come in, sit in the director's chair, put the thing together. Great. I mean, my man knows how to put a gangster movie together. He can probably do a Florida Roadhouse movie. Ooh, maybe it'll be Roadhouse in Britain. Yeah, Dalton takes a flight over to Britain. He's got to fight a bunch of gangsters, right? It'll be great.
Boy, get out me pub.
It's gonna wear teeth and drink Guinness. I don't know why they drink Guinness. One more story this week from the box office. Thunderbolts has a incredible opening, but it may not be good enough, which is nuts, dog. We got to talk about this. What was going on at the box office, Andy?
So Thunderbolts stormed into a $76 million domestic opening, about $160 million globally. A solid start for this property. It's not a big A-level superhero film. It is kicking off the summer. It's a very expensive movie, $180 million, so it needs to clear like 500 or so to be profitable. It's got a long way to go. I don't know. It's been well received, good word of mouth, so it might have some legs. But these movies don't make the kind of money that they used to. I think Marvel's in just kind of a different era, and they need to wake up to that and admit that to themselves. That doesn't mean they can't make money, but kind of the heyday of Marvel movie making, which is probably like 2010 to 2019, is probably over, and it's a new era, and they have to accept that. Some other numbers: Sinners came in at number 2 with 33 million, 236 million globally, so that's doing really well. And a Minecraft movie nears 875 million. It's about 100 million away from a billion. It looks like it's slowing down, and it's actually supposed to be on VOD starting next week. So it might not quite get to the $1 billion mark, but it's been a huge success.
I am impressed with Sinners keeping it up after 3 weeks here. Yeah, they only had like a 28% drop off, which is nuts, dude. Tons of people going to see Sinners and coming back. Was really pleased to see Sinners getting more 70 millimeter IMAX screenings around the country. It's funny that it has to get bumped for a week for Thunderbolts, which is a movie that is taking up every big screen and every Dolby and every IMAX, and it's taking up 3 screens in every Cineplex near you. And Thunderbolts is having such a good 180 million worldwide. Incredible opening, right? not good enough because they spent so much on budget and marketing. It needs to clear. I read upwards of 600 million to clear like their costs here. 550 I think is not bad. 500 conservative. That is insane, dog. Like that is the movie that everybody is talking about this week. And you didn't make enough money because you spent too much? Like Disney just has this weird problem where their movies cost so damn much money. And like, even though it's clearly running the board, like it's clearly doing better than everybody else, it's not good enough because the bar has to be so high. And like, that just puts Marvel in a weird space. We're going to talk about Thunderbolts in just a second. Did you mention Rust? Because I didn't know anything about Rust coming out.
Yes, Rust, the Alec Baldwin film where he accidentally shot and killed a cinematographer, Helena Hutchins.
Perfect.
Which we've been reporting on for the past 3 years.
That's how I'd say it. Damn it. It's true. Yeah. That did happen. It's crazy.
We've been reporting on that for the past 3 years. That movie still managed to get made because people invested in it, and the widower and the family, they wanted to continue to get it made. You're killing me.
Go ahead. Go on. You're doing great. No, you're doing good. You're doing so much better than I would, man. I'd be thrown to you. Like, Andy, go ahead and take this. What? Tell people what happened.
So they did finally release this movie in theaters. It made a whole 25,000, which is basically zero, negative money probably in Hollywood terms. It's real bad. I'm really surprised that they released this. It's also available on VOD. I thought about renting it, as kind of morbid as that is. First of all, it's a $15 rental, and it's nearly 2.5 hours. I was like, what is it? So there's no way I was gonna rent it. If it gets sold to a streamer, which I imagine it probably will at some point, maybe like I said, I feel like all the investors are losing money. Maybe they'll at least have the rights to it or something. But it's weird that movie finally came out. I feel bad because it's supposed to be this legacy of Helena Hutchins, who was killed on set, and it's like no one's gone to see it. So weird situation.
It is a weird situation. Joel Souza said that the family ultimately wanted to film. The director and writer Joel Souza said that the family ultimately wanted to finish the film and asked that he come back. He says he now regrets ever making the movie. So really, if you're going by writer-director Joel Souza, you could buy a ticket to Rust, but maybe it's better if you stream it on Putlocker or something. Probably not. You should probably buy a ticket to Rust or watch it on VOD, but I think it's like $20. Also, it's long. I realize that's a silly criticism, but I figured Rust was a 95-minute romp in the West, you know what I mean? With Alec Baldwin sitting in a chair for 3/4 of the movie, but apparently not. Apparently it is a real Western. It's worth watching. I don't know. Anyway, we should move on to Thunderbolts. We should get out of here. I've spent too much time on news as it is, but I'm excited. We're back. I was away for a week. Let's jump into it. Andy's going to be taking the summary on this one, so I'll get out of his way. Andy, please take it away.
Thunderbolts. So this is the 36th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, following the events of the previous ones, basically the culmination of phases 4 and 5. Stars Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow, who's not real happy in her job. She's kind of dealing with a little bit of depression and ennui. Doesn't have a lot of fulfillment. The film starts with her, carrying out this mission, and she's bored and sad, and she's punching and beating up guys, but she's monologuing over, kind of a little aimless in life. And so her handler, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Valentina, says, hey, we got one more mission for you. Go clean up this vault. I need you to get rid of all this stuff. And she gets there and is immediately attacked. And other people show up, and everyone's trying to kill each other. And they realize they've been kind of set up by Valentina. And we run into other past heroes, John Walker, otherwise known as U.S. Agent, who's a super soldier, Ghost, Taskmaster, who we saw, I think, in the previous Black Widow, a newcomer named Bob, played by Lewis Pullman, and they realize something's wrong. They've been set up, and so they've got to work together. They got to escape this vault, and they're going to go after Valentina and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Meanwhile, Congressman Bucky Barnes, formerly the Winter Soldier, is in Congress. He's a politician now. He's working that angle, trying to make changes there. He gets sucked back into his role. He's got to help out this band of misfits, and meanwhile, again, Bob, played by Lewis Pullman, he looks like a normal person, is also a bit superpowered himself, and has a lot of surprises. This is has a lot of action, a lot of fun, a lot of heart. It's got a different that it's different in tone than a lot of other Marvel movies. Kind of takes on some serious subject matter, more serious than Marvel has done in the past. Some ups, some downs, lots to talk about. Zach, what do you think?
So I like Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts is better of the recent Marvel fare. And if anything, the thing I find frustrating about Thunderbolts is that more of Marvel's films don't seem to meet this bar. The last few years, things have been a little lacking in Marvel land. And yeah, there's some highs like Deadpool, Wolverine, or I guess Captain America recently, but I think Captain America Brave New World early this year is a better example of, a mid Marvel, a Marvel mid, a Marvel that's just kind of fine. It's not great, it's not incredible, but it's not terrible. You'll have a fine time watching it. This one lands a little bit more on the good side, right? Like, it's a good time. It's pretty funny. It's a pretty bouncy script. A lot of good characters, surprisingly good chemistry. I really actually liked Wyatt Russell in this. He's surprisingly fun time. Lewis Pullman's good. For those of you who haven't seen him, he'll always be my torn up Vietnam vet from Bad Times to the El Royale. Overall, pretty fun, I think, and I do like the darker tone. We should probably get into it. I know we don't do spoilers here on this podcast, but what do you think? Thunderbolts with an asterisk. Do we talk about the asterisk first? I mean, I don't know.
Yes, because this has been very public. This film has already been renamed The New Avengers, and that's the whole point. The asterisk was basically a hold, working title, basically, and it's not Thunderbolts. They're the New Avengers, and they're doing all this press where they're like ripping the poster off and revealing the new title. I feel like it's really confusing because I've been calling this movie Thunderbolts for like a year, and so to all of a sudden change the title, I think it's kind of confusing to people, and also like the distributors, anyone who has to deal with marketing materials is probably a pain because like if you go to the Cinemark website, it still says Thunderbolts. It doesn't say the New Avengers because that's confusing to people. So that's what that is. And funny enough, do you know what I thought the stupid asterisk was? There's a scene where our heroes are climbing up this tunnel and they're kind of all back to back and they're having to crawl up, work together, and they kind of create a star shape. And I was like, oh, that's them working together. It's like the most wildly, that would have been so much more clever.
Yeah, and there's a poster where they're all like locking hands like over a table that's got the asterisk on it. Like, it does seem a little bit like people come together. I thought it was going to be like Thunderbolts and Sentry, right? Because that's our character, Lewis Pullman. I want to say Bill Pullman every time. He's not the dad from Independence Day. He's Lewis Pullman. He's his son. Yes, he's playing this character Bob, who is odd and has something unique about him that we're kind of trying to figure out. What's this guy's deal? And then, like, as the movie kind of progresses, you find, okay, there's definitely more to him than meets the eye. He ends up being a character that our other characters kind of have to reckon with. But ultimately, like, I like that the battle in Thunderbolt starts with Florence Pugh, who ends up being kind of our lightning rod character, which I didn't expect. Like, I knew she was on towards the front of the covers, right, with our cast in images and posters, but she ends up being kind of our lead, de facto lead in the movie, and to great effect. The movie opens with her, and like you said, she's just not doing good. Like, things are going bad. Like, she's not doing well. She's sad all the time. She's alone. She doesn't have anybody. So when she's trying to pivot and get into something new, that's where she finds opportunity with Valentina, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yes, goes to this facility, runs into all of our other characters, and so begins Thunderbolts. It's funny because I've seen a number of people say that they thought that the film would be a lot more in that space. Jay Bowman from Red Letter Media had said that he thought the whole movie was going to take place like in this lockdown facility and be a bit of a bottle feature. You found yourself thinking, my God, we're like an hour into this and they're still here. Where's this whole thing going? I don't know if that's like a result of reshoots. I don't know if that's just where a lot of the movie was taking place. This is always a funny thing in Marvel movies, right? Like, they got to tweak endings and adjust things and change the way this character works because somebody said this thing 3 Spider-Man movies ago. I can't even start to put together the red string on the corkboard of where this franchise is exactly, but this is a good effort towards that. We're going to pull some people together you've seen from other stories. We're going to put them in something new, hopefully find a direction, call them the New Avengers, I guess. Yeah.
So Okay, I don't know whether to start. Let me start with
I
performances.
was gonna say I gave you no rope to go in a direction there. I was just like, I have not,
all right.
and that's it. That's what I think. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
So I think our central cast of heroes is really good. Thunderbolts. No. Florence Pugh
Yes.
is great. She brings the star power. She has to do some real acting in this. There's been a lot of comparisons to a lot of people that worked on A24 films are also worked on this film. You see a little bit of crossover, but the rest of our cast is really good. They definitely brought in Sebastian Stan / Bucky Barnes / the Winter Soldier. He seems like he was added kind of later in the process, but does a great job. The film definitely needs it. John Walker is good as this kind of fallen from grace hero. You will have needed to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, that TV show from 4 years ago, to know his backstory. I think one of my favorites was actually David Harbour as Red Guardian, who's also a super soldier. He's the comic relief, and man, he just cracks me up. And one of the things I like about this film is it feels like it's moved on from some of Marvel's habits. Like Marvel was known for that really quippy Spider-Man-esque dialogue where there's a joke every 2 seconds, and this gets away from that. But David Harbour is the comedic relief, and he's really funny. I was dying at like all his gags. Like they really worked on me. I think the only person who doesn't really work is actually Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and it's not that she's miscast. I think just the role is the wrong role. Like because she's trying to do something a little bit between a military person and a Tony Stark thing, and it just the tone of it doesn't really work. I feel like that role needs to be played more serious, the way like a Robert Redford, like when he was the president, or John Hurt when he was one of the generals, or even the great Brian Cox when he played Colonel Stryker in one of the Wolverine movies. Like you got to play that role a little bit more straight, and she just kind of seems a little miscast, and the role seems weirdly written. That's the only thing that kind of doesn't work for me.
Yeah, Dreyfus is playing like kind of Veep, right? Her character on HBO, but not Veep. Like she has all the authority of her character from that. She's like I think she's like de facto president. I'm not even sure if they say it in the movie, but she seems to be acting with some great authority at the higher end of the government. So if she's not, I guess I got it wrong. And she's got an assistant played by Geraldine Viswanathan, who we most recently saw in Drive Away Dolls. I rewatched that just the other night. I should have talked about that in our rewatch segment in the open. And she's playing this kind of character who's like Tony Hale in Veep, but isn't Tony Hale in Veep. This like sheepish, like assistant who's like got an iPad and is like, yes, ma'am, whatever you need, ma'am, like running around. Yeah, Dreyfus is like playing this weird like stand up for, I don't know, like corporate Marvel, right? IGN had a great write-up on this. They said Thunderbolts is like two halves, right? And one half works great and the other half doesn't. The half that works great is the serious side, like the more like elevated, almost like A24 stylings, right? I say A24 like it's a thing, but you know what I mean?
A genre.
It's the part that's about sadness, and it's the part that's about darkness. It's the part that's about Florence Pugh being like, why do I feel bad all the time? And like, why don't substances help? And like, why don't I have anybody in my life, even though I'm supposed to be this person who's, you know, strong and powerful and independent. Like, and I like the way that these other characters share this, right? You get a little bit of this with Wyatt Russell in a scene that I've been dunking on. Lewis Pullman's got some of it. Even Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character has a moment. This comes out because of a character in the film who when they touch, have a physical connection, they immediately like have like some sort of flashback to like this horrible moment when they were a kid, like big anxiety. It's nice. Like, it's nice that these characters who are a little ambiguous get that filter. They get that lens in the movie. Like, hey, even the people you don't really like are complicated and come from a place that's like challenging, you know? So maybe we should give each other a little bit of grace. That stuff's good. The stuff that I felt like was clunky was like the Marvel stuff, the homework. Oh yeah, the Avengers are in this universe and they're not around, and Valentina bought their tower and is working it over, and then they're gonna name them the new. It's like, this is all clunky and chunky and feels like homework. This all feels like too much work. It's actually a really welcome relief when Sebastian Stan rides into the film a la Terminator 2 on a motorcycle in the desert. Has this really great action scene, blows up like 5 things. Like, boy, this is how I'm supposed to feel when I watch this stuff. And then before you know it, you're back in like impeachment hearings, and it just feels like this weird lens that we're already like this alternate bizarro mirror world we're already dealing with our current universe and government. It's like, it's just messy and chunky. I feel like a lot of that, like I said, is a result of like the Marvel corkboard of we have to connect this to this because in 2 movies we're doing this, and we got Fantastic Four coming out in July, so we better make sure that this lines into this. Okay, like that all feels like a lot of work, but the core of this movie, the base of it, I feel like is solid, and like that's what makes this work. Captain America: Brave New World didn't have that luxury. It's more the Marvel homework side, and it just feels like, I don't know. It feels like a written assignment or something you got to take home at the end of the day. This is not that. This feels fresh and different. And like, thank God, I think Marvel needs more of these. It's frustrating that their last few haven't been like this but also like, I realize this is expensive and they spend a lot of money on this and it may not make its money back, which is a whole other problem.
Well, so I've been having a lot of thoughts about Marvel in general, and one thing, the MCU is going to have to end at some point. Like, you cannot keep doing this you couldn't do this for another 35 films. It is becoming so convoluted. This is the same problem that comic books have. At some point, you either have to permanently end it and start over, functionally reboot it, or do kind of soft reboots, which is what they do in comics all the time, where you you keep the stuff that works, you get rid of any decisions or canon that people didn't like, and you just redo it. In 2011, DC had the New 52. 5 years later, they did Rebirth, and they kind of just reset things. And Marvel is going to have to do that at some point because it's just getting too complicated and too convoluted, and or you have to do things that like DC does, things like Joker, or even Guardians 3, that it's like you have to just kind of do one-offs that are good ideas and work. But they're going to have to kind of end this in the next several years. I don't think they have phase 7, 8, 9. I don't think you're going to get through that.
I think Guardians 3 is actually an apt comparison because Guardians 3 goes dark in a similar way to Thunderbolts. So it's more animal cruelty on that side, but even still, like something that's surprising for what you're watching. And I think that surprise is welcome, even if it is kind of dour. Like the same applies for Thunderbolts. I don't know if it's a Kevin Feige problem, but I do know that most big sports coaches only last 5 or 10 years before they can them and hire somebody new for cheaper for like new strategy. It just feels like maybe this era is kind of going towards something. And just like Guardians 3, James Gunn, director of that, is over at DC doing exactly this, right? Like charting a path forward. And he's got a lot of people interested in Superman and where that's going to go in July, competing with Fantastic Four, which is going to be nuts. Keep it here on Off Script for more. But for Thunderbolts, I think it would be easy to tell folks that this is a better Marvel movie. Question is it mandatory viewing? Probably not, right? Like, you're not going to tell, like, I don't know. What do you think? I guess recommendations. Are we here? Have we crossed the Rubicon? All right, Andy, would you recommend Thunderbolts?
Yeah, overall, I would, especially for Marvel fans, because I have heard some Marvel fans who really liked it and they love the character. So if you're a big Marvel head and you've seen all the properties, all the movies, TV shows, you love the heroes, it's definitely for you. If you're a little on the fence, I would say maybe save it for streaming. It is a fun time. Love the score by Son Lux, who scored Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just wanted to mention that as well. So a lot of it works. Some of it doesn't. It's a little long at 2 hours, 20 minutes. It could probably shave a little bit of time on, but overall, recommend.
Yeah, I think I'd recommend it as well. It's not like mandatory. If you've got Disney Plus and you're not going to go see it, it'll show up on there. Check it out. It's one of the better ones. It's probably a good primer for what's coming next. I know Fantastic Four is out in July. We'll be covering that here on the show. If you want to hear our Fantastic Four review, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, and we will have that to you post-haste come July, along with Superman and other comic book stuff. We'll keep you informed. That's what we do here on Off Script Film Review. Keep you informed. With that, we have 18 minutes left in the show and 3 segments to move through, so we're going to get going, baby. It's time for one of our favorite segments. We're back at it. Andy, what do we call this?
The Death of Cinema. So we haven't done this segment in quite a while, but I saw an article that I thought was worth talking about. The Megan chatbot is an epic fail. We reported on this a couple weeks ago that I guess it was Blumhouse had partnered with Facebook Meta to do some sort of second screen experience at a screening of Megan, and a journalist got the chance to go in and try it out and see exactly what this was. And so he went in, and whenever the movie starts, you're supposed to text Megan on Instagram, and she responds, and it's supposed to kind of give you trivia and ask you questions while you're watching along. And apparently the whole thing was a disaster. First off, no one actually did this in the screening. Like the screening, everyone was invited to get out their phones and take part, and the only person who did was the journalists themselves, who sat at the very back and was kind of self-conscious that he was out on his phone and was getting, some weird looks and things like that. It was very stock answers. The other thing is, it got out of sync very quickly because there was like an intro from Jason Blum, and that immediately threw off the syncing with the chat bot. So now the chat bot was like 20 minutes off eventually, and so it's not lining up with the movie. And it all culminated in just being an ad to be sure to come watch Megan 2.0 and the end of the summer. And so it just didn't work out the way it was supposed to. And the whole thing is like, oh, you can get, it's aimed at younger people who like to be on their phones. And it's like, oh, this is a way to watch a movie and be on your phone at the same time. But no one really wanted to do that, because if you like the movie, you're going to be into the movie and not be on your phone. And that's one of the things the journalist said. No one else was on their phone because they're into the movie. They like Megan and they want to keep watching it. So the whole thing was just kind of a disaster. And I don't think it's going to take off, but it's important to kind of try these things out.
Yeah, it's first off, fantastic run up of how it all worked and what it is. You're right. It's an Instagram account. You just text it and then you just DM it, and then it just immediately starts in as if you had just started the film. It's almost like a director's commentary, right? Like you have to sync up yourself. You got to start it right when the movie starts, and then you can listen along and it'll be matched up, which means anybody can do it themselves whenever you want. You could text the account now if you wanted, as soon as you finish listening to the show, of course. And B, it's perfect for watching at home, which seems like that's where this would be implemented the most, right? At home viewings, because if you're watching Megan, I don't know, wherever it's streamed, it's probably on like Prime or HBO. I'm not even sure right now, but wherever it's streaming, you could start watching it tonight and text this thing and immediately start getting content. And I guess if you're, I don't know, like casually on your phone while the movie's on in the background, you're getting Instagram DMs. That's not bad. It does seem like it invites you to check out the Blumhouse newsletter, The Van. There's a sizzle reel of upcoming Blumhouse releases, including Black Phone 2 and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Like, it's basically just a whole lot. It's you signing up to get advertised to for a couple of hours, but I guess if you're not the kind of person to go hit IMDb and just read trivia, like there might be something interesting in there. Yeah, shout out to Peter DeBruge over at Variety for writing this up. I think, I'm glad that it's not good. Right. That's how I feel right now. I'm glad that it's not good. I was afraid that these screenings were going to have like a poster board at the front of the theater on an easel that was like, scan this QR code to download the app and immediately get started. Like it was going to be a phone centric screening, and it seems to be quite the opposite. Like not only did most people not do it, nobody cared. And then the people that did do it seemed pretty disappointed. So like maybe the best thing for those of us who don't want to have to worry about phones in theaters, right? Like seems like people are pretty respectful, and even if they did try it, they weren't into it.
Yeah, it's definitely a big failure, and it's a big failure on the front of like trying to get young Gen Z or Gen Y, Gen Z, well, whatever the next one is, also into theaters, because that's again what gets people in is the product. It's the movie. And if you're only going to be on your phone, I'm only on my phone when I'm not into the movie. And if I'm not into the movie, I'm probably not going to pay to see it. So it doesn't really make sense. It's definitely the idea of people who don't go to the movies or see a lot of movies and kind of have and understand the audience and like the appeal of the theatrical experience.
Yeah. Overall, not bad, I guess. I figured I'd be a lot more tilted at this. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it worked, which maybe is the point, and I probably shouldn't care so much, but for what it's worth, good. I'm glad it sucks. I'm glad it sucks. I hope somebody gets fired. And we should move on. I think. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to Trailer Park, Andy? We got 4 trailers to cook through.
I'm ready.
All right. We're going to move into our next section here. I'm going to take the first trailer. Andy, you mind at least telling people I just said what it's called. Do you mind? Can you do the intro at least so I put the music behind it?
It's time for the Trailer Park.
Perfect. The first trailer we were talking about is the trailer for Weapons, Zach Kreger's new feature. This is the follow-up to Barbarian, right? Zach Kreger of Whitest Kids You Know fame put out Barbarian a couple years ago. Mixed results. A lot of people thought it was an indie hit. Other people thought it was a dud and totally overblown, right? But Weapons is seemingly in the same vein. This is coming from Universal. Big bidding war for the script to Weapons, last year? I remember reading that Jordan Peele really tried to get this movie and made it monkey paw, and it didn't happen. He fired his managers, which is crazy. But now we have a full trailer for Weapons after some creepy imagery that we've seen online about kids walking around in the middle of the night. We have a trailer. What do we see in here? It's mostly the same. It's a lot of Ring camera footage and cameras silently dollying through a small town neighborhood with kids like running out of their homes with their arms splayed out at 2 a.m. There's some voiceover explaining that, like, for some reason that we don't understand, these kids just got up and ran out. And I don't know why, but they did. And then they never came back. And then we get Julia Garner, who plays Justine, who is a small town teacher who appears to be the teacher of this classroom that is completely empty, and that's where all the kids came from. All the kids, it's the one connecting thing, I think, we can tell from the trailer, of these children who all disappeared. They all are in Miss Justine's class, which immediately raises suspicion of parents and cops and local officials. What do you know about this? You know more than, you must be involved. There must be some answer. It looks like good stuff, man, like with an incredible cast. Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Alden Ehrenreich is back. My God, I haven't seen him since Cocaine Bear. I can't wait. My man's got talent. Benedict Wong in a movie that's not a Marvel movie. A couple other exciting ones in here. And, mostly I think it might be a commentary on, violence in schools. Because when a small group of children just up and gets removed from a town, suddenly police and teachers and parents, everybody's got something to say about it. Weapons. Can't wait. What do you think, Andy?
Man, I really love this trailer. The marketing for this has been really creepy. We get a few more plot details, and I think the thing that's exciting is that, yes, all these children that have disappeared from one teacher's classroom, or they're all in one teacher's class, and so of course she's like suspect number one, or at least like everyone wants to know, like, why from you? And yeah, you get this whole community involvement between like parents, teachers, government, that whole thing, and that's really interesting. The angle, it looks real creepy. Really excited for it. Definitely want to see.
Yeah, it's the kind of trailer, like, there's a bunch of flashes of violence in the later half, and I'm like, I don't want to see any of that. I'm just going to go to the theater and see it. I don't want to see it. Don't give it away. I don't want to have preconceptions of what's going to happen in Weapons. I'd rather just go in fresh. I like Barbarian fine. I think it's a good time. I've rewatched it since. Didn't enjoy it as much, but for what it's worth, stoked for Weapons. What's next, Andy?
The Smashing Machine. So this is a new movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's an indie that we had heard a little bit about, written and directed by Benny Safdie and Mark Kerr. Dwayne Johnson plays MMA fighter Mark Kerr, who I think was a big star when the UFC was kind of getting started in like the 90s, late 2000 or early 2000s. It reminds me a little bit of The Wrestler, where you have someone who's kind of on the down and out, but is making a comeback, is going to sacrifice everything, probably mostly his body and his relationship. Emily Blunt plays his girlfriend, love interest. She looks great. She looks like amazing acting wise in this. The Rock is almost unrecognizable. He's doing a different voice. He's got some prosthetic. He's got hair. This looks really good. I bet this is like a Dwayne Johnson Oscar nomination attempt. We'll see if that pans out, but definitely looking forward to this.
Yeah, Smashing Machine reminds me a lot of we just watched it recently with Jonathan Majors. My God, what is this movie?
All right, Magazine Dreams.
Magazine Dreams. Of course, I can remember his name. Yeah, Killian Maddox. I can't remember the damn movie. Yes, Magazine Dreams. Mark Kerr here that The Rock is playing appears to be. I don't know anything about the man. I haven't watched any interviews with him. I haven't Wikipedia. I don't want to know. I just want to go see the new Safdie movie. All right, like I'm just gonna go in blind. But he just looks to be playing such a softie. Like he's a fighter, right? And he's this big brute of a man, but when he's talking to his wife, he's just like got this soft voice, and he's just like he's just a soft animal in there. And like I think that makes for such compelling drama for these like big, larger than life figures, right? Whether it be Jonathan Majors, Killian Maddox in Magazine Dreams, or yeah, Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, or even this, right? Like this is somebody who like appears to be an absolute monster, but when you get to know him, like they're kind of not. You know what I mean? There's so much more to them, and like I think that makes for a good couple hours of movie. Looks like he goes on quite the journey. You're right, unrecognizable with like the prosthetics. It's got to be brow and nose, I guess. Like that's what it is. I'm trying to identify what exactly is different about his face. Maybe a little bit in the jaw, like something, but it looks like good stuff, dude. I hope The Rock brings it. If anything, I think the cinematography looks a little chaotic. A lot of handheld in there. You know, the Safdie brothers just whipping that damn camera around. He's like 25 and he's probably older than 25, but he's on 3 Red Bulls and he doesn't care. We got to move on to the next trailer. What are we looking at here? I got Honey Don't. Yeah, Honey Don't. This came out today. If you're listening to the podcast the day we put it out, this is the new Ethan Coen film. Ethan Coen recently did Driveway Dolls that we covered on the show, and I rewatched just not long ago. This stars Margaret Qualley, Aubrey Plaza, Chris Evans, and there's one other big player here. What am I thinking of? Charlie Day. That's the one. Yeah, Charlie Day. Margaret Qualley plays a private investigator. I believe she's a lesbian from what I read on IMDb, but I don't want to speak for her. Don't say for sure in the trailer. Who has to investigate a murder in town when a local pastor, played by Chris Evans, gets tangled up in some kind of, I don't know, some kind of caper. Aubrey Plaza's in the film. Charlie Day appears to be some other investigator. This is coming from Ethan Coen and Trisha Cook, his longtime partner, I believe wife, although they're not strictly monogamous as I understand it. They wrote Driveway Dolls together. That was a quick 88-minute, basically experimental feature. This is kind of coming from the exact same place. It looks like a lot of the same crews, same writers, same director. Margaret Qualley's back. Probably a lot of fun. I'm going to be honest. Driveway Dolls played better the first time than it did the second. Rewatching it, I didn't like it as much. But this looks like a good time. Looks like a fun, quick movie. Little violent. Rated R. Probably got some sex stuff in it. Only in theaters August 22nd. What do you know about the trailer for Honey Don't?
Man, Margaret Qualley is such a star. She looks great in this. This looks like a lot of fun. Reminds me of things like Fargo, and
also Ethan Coen.
Yeah, or Erin Brockovich, where you have this kind of spunky female police officer or detective trying to get things done, and it looks silly. It looks funny. It's got a great cast, and it just looks like a good time, and I'm definitely excited to see it.
Yeah, me too. I know a lot of people say, boy, I wish the Coen brothers would get back together again. And I do too. Like, and I hope they do. Joel Coen shot Tragedy Macbeth with Denzel Washington, all black and white. Real weird, real bold. Meanwhile, Ethan Coen does Driveway Dolls with his partner. Odd, unique, indie, fresh. This is kind of that same space. Like, it's obvious that one of them pulls big visuals and the other one pulls big ideas. And between the two of them, they make incredible art. But I like this stuff. Like, this is kind of fun. And if it's a bit better than Driveway Dolls, I think it'll probably be a banger, man. Margaret Qualley's a lot of fun. Anyway, one more to talk about. What do you got?
This one just came out today. It's called The Long Walk, and it's based on a Stephen King novel. Like, Stephen King's so prolific. He writes so many books, and so many of his books get turned into movie. This stars our man Cooper Hoffman, some of the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman. This trailer starts out looking kind of like an army recruitment video. You got a bunch of buddies, and they're on a big walk down a road, and they got tanks and stuff around them, and they're all cheerful, and they're like, all right, we're going on this walk. It's going to be a good time. And then one of them kind of gets tired. He gets a cramp, falls down, and he gets shot by one of the people. And then we learn they're in some twisted kind of game show thing where they just have to keep walking, and the winner is whoever is left standing. And there is no finish. There is no like end of this race. It's just you walk until you die, basically, and only one person will survive. So real creepy stuff. It's got creepy tone. I'm interested to see what kind of like the themes and underlying meanings are going to be with it. But this looks like a fun little time, good little trailer. This is coming out in September.
Yeah, sneaky Mark Hamill in here as well. He's the like commander that's hollering at him with sunglasses and facial hair. Like, wouldn't know that's Luke Skywalker. Yeah, also starring Ben Wang, who's the new Karate Kid, and David Johnson, yeah, who's in Alien Covenant, right? He's the android character in that movie. So solid cast, solid people. It just looks so damn dour. Like Life of Chuck is coming out. Mike Flanagan directed, and Tom Hiddleston's in that. And that's based on a Stephen King short, but that one's about like hope and like inspiration and like growing as a person. I'm really looking forward to that. People are saying that's like the feel good movie of the year. This couldn't be more the opposite. This looks like such a slog, dog. I don't know. I like it doesn't say at the end it's coming out in theaters. It just says coming soon. Like when I first saw it, I honestly figured this is probably going to be straight to a streamer. Like there's no way you're going to make your money putting this in theaters, right? Like that's a suicide mission. Who is going to go in and watch 90 minutes of kids getting slowly picked off? Mr. Beast fans? Who's into this? Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe it's like a Squid Games thing, but like, I just don't know. Like, it just seems so tough, man. Like, it's like, yeah.
See, Stephen King he's the original Squid Gamer because he's done this genre with things like The Running Man before, like a deadly
Yeah.
game show. He was doing that long before Mr. Beast was basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not new to this at all. Like I said, the interesting thing to me will be like, what are the stakes? Why are these characters choosing to be in this like competition? And again, what are the underlying themes? Because that's what Stephen King's work is always about. Like the supernatural things are pale in comparison to the real life horrors.
Yeah. Long Walk is scheduled to come out September 12th. Keep it here for more on Off Script. We'll tell you more about it when we hear it. Until then, I got one more movie to talk about. My God, we're coming up on the end of the show, so I'm going to get to it. The movie is Black Bag. So, Black Bag is the story of British intelligence officer George Woodhouse, played by Michael Fassbender, who's given 1 week by his superior to investigate the leak of a top secret software program codenamed Severus. 5 potential leakers at British SIS for George Woodhouse to investigate. One of them could be his wife, Kathryn Woodhouse, played by the wonderful Cate Blanchette. Other operatives also include, I got a short list here, satellite imagery specialist Clarissa, her boyfriend and managing agent Freddie, agency psychiatrist Zoe, and her boyfriend and managing agent James. All right, so it's 3 couples. They all meet at dinner at the beginning. George cooks for him and he says, I want to try to figure out who the liar is. This is George's whole thing. He's very good at sniffing out who a liar is. And what we get over the next 90-ish minutes is Black Bag, a Stephen Soderbergh picture that is small and tamped down and quiet and indie budget. And it's just sharp, man. It's just oozing spy stuff. It's delightful. Not a ton of action, big on drama, right? Big on premise, big on ideas. Fassbender's bringing it. Cate Blanchette's bringing it. It's a wonderful cast here that I'm looking forward to talking about. And while we do get outside of this dinner, ultimately this setup with these kind of 3 couples discussing, hey, how do you be honest in a job where all we do is be dishonest for a living, right? If we say that everything is a secret and nothing is real, how could you possibly have a relationship? And we explore a little bit George and Kathryn's relationship against these 2 others, these 2 others relationships, and the 2 of them trying to bounce off each other. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. I should probably have a better summary, but you got what you got. Andy, what do you think of Black Bag?
So I'd heard a lot of really great things, a lot of positive things about this, that it was just one of Soderbergh's better, more recent movies, although we did enjoy Presence. And I was in it from the beginning. I was a little frustrated with Thunderbolts. I didn't quite mention this before. I felt like it took a while to get going, had that set of fatigue. It's like, all right, let's get to the part I don't know about. And Black Bag isn't like that at all. It's intriguing from the beginning. The very first conversation he has with someone is, hey, here's a list of people that we think are possible moles. Your wife is on there. Will you do what you have to do if she's the one? And it's like from the beginning, we have this incredibly intriguing premise, and every conversation, every scene builds the character, builds the plot. It's so juicy every step of the way. There's just not a slow or boring moment in it at all. We have an incredible cast, which also includes Tom Burke, Marissa Bella, Regé-Jean Page, and Naomie Harris. Very similar in style to things like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, or maybe Zero Dark 30, where it's about people talking in rooms, spycraft, that whole thing. And it's, again, there's this great thing in the film where if they're talking, because everyone seems to be dating each other, if they ever get to a topic that they can't talk about because of spy reasons, they just say black bag. They're like, oh, where are you going on Wednesday? Black bag. Or I'm going to Zurich. Well, who are you meeting? Black bag. And that's just the end of the conversation. And they say, well, unfortunately, this job makes it very easy to be unfaithful in a relationship because you can always just say black bag. But this is the challenge: is how do you spy on other spies without letting them know they're being spied on? And it's a very much spy versus spy kind of thing. And I was with it the whole way, like nearly watched it a second time.
Yeah, it's the kind of movie that sounds like it would be boring on paper. A little like Conclave, right? You're like, it's just a bunch of adults talking in rooms, right? What's interesting about that? No. It's the talent behind this that makes this interesting, right? You've got director Stephen Soderbergh, hot off of his indie film presence. He's putting this together. This is the guy who made the Oceans movies, right? This is the guy who made The Knick on Showtime. Stephen Soderbergh makes great movies. Writer David Koepp, all right? He put together Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think he wrote a Jurassic Park treatment. This is an all-timer. This is a guy who's been making movies for years. You got Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchette. You already said it. Tom Burke, who I knew from he plays Orson Welles in David Fincher's Mank. Oh, speaking of Fincher, David Koepp wrote Panic Room for Fincher. He wrote that movie. Who else is in this movie? Marissa Abela, who plays Amy Winehouse in the Amy Winehouse biopic that just came out. I recognized Naomie Harris sitting across the table in the opening scene. I was like, what do I know her from? She's Moneypenny in the most recent James Bond movies, and she's in 28 Days Later, the first 28 Days film from, I forget who's in that, but that horror movie.
Like 2002 or so,
That's
yeah.
right. And then Regé-Jean Page, who's from Bridgerton, who I know him for we've been doing an hour of podcasting. I'm getting loose on the names and references here. My point is, the talent behind this is rock solid. So if you're thinking, oh, it's just a movie about people hanging out, no. It's so much more than that. It's so juicy. You even got Pierce Brosnan making a special guest appearance in a role that is interesting and surprisingly smaller than I thought. I thought he'd be a lot more involved here, but it's real picky. And the whole angle with Black Bag is, yes, this isn't going to be like Mission Impossible, big shootouts. It's going to be the other side of that. It's going to be a bunch of quiet operatives quietly trying to figure out what's your motivation and what's your deal. It's like a game of Clue, right? It's just a big whodunit right in the open. And the most compelling part is the person could be the person closest to you, right? The person who infiltrated this whole thing, who's got this secret thing, Severus, that's about to break out into the world. That might be the bad thing. I like the elements of spycraft here that feel so fitting in the spy world. Apparently Koepp had talked with a lot of people from like SIS and real British spy people to kind of write this film. That's when he and Soderbergh got to working on it. And I love how much of it just feels authentic. I love that they are in these big ornate houses. I love that none of them have children and they joke about it. I like that all of them are freaky and weird in their own way. They're all very astute judges of character who are very quiet and speak very efficiently. Their office is rad. It's like super mega tech with big windows, and it's downtown, right? Because that's of course where they'd work. You actually get a look at a flash drive at one point that's like Severus, and it's just like the rabbit's foot from Mission Impossible. It's like this kind of odd multicolored, it's like a red soccer ball thing, like just these little itty bitty things that get dropped along here like breadcrumbs that put a spy story together. Black Bag is like executing surgically. Like it's doing it seamlessly. It's like a magic trick. It's great.
Yeah, really enjoy. It's all about the conversations, and I wanted to bring up Naomie Harris's character because she is the company like psychiatrist that everyone has to go through, and of course they have complete confidence through her, but she still has to report back to her superiors. So trust is a big issue, big theme in here because everyone has to talk to her, but they don't necessarily trust her. And she's also having relationships with some of the other people in the organization. Again, it's all about who can you trust, who can't you, when everyone lies or is allowed to lie or is expected to lie about everything they're doing. How do you who watches The Watchmen? Who spies on the spy?
Yeah.
I was just saying you could probably make like a Mount Rushmore of mole movies. Who's the mole, and how do you catch him? But I was with it the whole way, totally intrigued. Like I said, and like definitely rewatchable. I'll probably catch more with a second viewing.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of movie I would see on TNT in the 90s and like, oh God, I'll just throw this on, leave this running in the background. This movie rocks, right? Like Black Bag is so simple and so efficient. They used to say the best Edgar Wright movies were like watching a director like just do card tricks in front of you for like 90 minutes. And that's what this feels like. Like it's just efficient and slick. We should talk about the bloom though. I do want to talk about the bloom. And I don't have any thoughts on the bloom. The lighting in Black Bag has this funny effect on it where like it looks like all the lights are like blown out and like pushed into the frame. Yeah, they're real hazy. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see some of these. We've got the trailer running on the side, especially daylight. You can see it happening. It's intentional from Soderbergh. He just likes the look of it. Like, I don't know. I've seen some people say, it's gross. Other people say it's stylized. I land more in the stylized camp. Whatever, man. You're making a quick little spy movie. Why not? Like, why not throw a weird lighting effect in there? It's not that weird. It reminds me a little like J.J. Abrams' lens flare. Doesn't hurt the experience. Doesn't bother me too much, but it is noticeable, especially in this opening dinner scene. It's the six of them all sitting around. They have these like lamps on the table and like, yeah, real simple, real stylized. I don't know. Just brings a little something to it. A little bit of flavor on top of a movie that's already got plenty of it just under the surface. It's very subtle. Black Bag's a subtle spy movie, man, and I dig it. I like it. I think I'm running out of good things to say. Any other thoughts or recommendations?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Black Bag?
Absolutely. Really enjoyed this. This is currently streaming on Peacock. Very captivating story of a spy versus spy, people trying to catch a mole. Who can you trust? You can't trust anyone. You got to lie to everyone. Everyone's lying to you. Who's really behind? Who's really pulling the strings? That kind of movie. Great cast, Cate Blanchette, Michael Fassbender and company. Fassbender's great in these roles. Very similar to his role in The Killer. Quick 90 minutes. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend.
Yeah, same. Black Bag rocks. It's on Peacock. If you see it in the wild, if you see somebody's like, this movie might be good, throw it on, man. You might like it a lot more than you think, especially if you're the kind of listener to get all the way to the end of our off-script episode, listen to all our movie stuff. If you like this, you're going to like Black Bag. And also, if you made it all the way here, you're going to want to subscribe because we just make this kind of stuff every week, man. This is exactly what we do. All right, de facto, it is the show for all things bold cinema, just like Black Bag and, Thunderbolts and Havoc and other stuff like that. Andy, what are we watching next week?
So there are no real big releases next week. Thunderbolts basically has 2 weeks to itself before Final Destination Bloodlines, I guess, is the next big summer blockbuster movie. So we're going to be taking a look at things on streaming. So some options we haven't decided quite yet. Nickel Boys on Prime Video, Summer of '69, which is a new comedy starring SNL's Chloe Fineman on Hulu, Nona's, which is also a comedy starring Vince Vaughn on Netflix, Last Breath, which was an action thriller from a couple months ago, which is on Peacock, Blink Twice, which is on Prime, Dee Dee, which is a coming-of-age story, also on Prime, and Mild Ass, starring Aubrey Plaza, which is a comedy we've heard some good things about, also on Prime. So a bunch of stuff on streaming, some possibilities. We'll let you know next week.
Andy's being kind. The real reason we're streaming is because I'm traveling again this weekend. But it's Mother's Day, and I'm going to go see my mom, and it's going to be great. But outside of that, we're going to watch a couple streaming joints. We'll get back to you. I'm very excited for Friendship on May 9th. We got to get tickets to go see that. Probably go see it together. I'll be laughing next to you the whole time. You'll be like, some of this is funny. I'll be like, this is all amazing. I'm big Tim Robinson head over here. But if you thought the show was amazing or you like what we're doing here on Off Script, best way to keep up with us is to subscribe to the show. Subscribe to get Off Script delivered straight to you every single week when we do them, of course. Usually on Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays. We're aloof, all right? We're men of mystery. Next week, we'll cover one of these films, and it'll be a great time. If you want to keep up with us, best way to do that is to follow us on social media as well, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can check us out on YouTube, where big things are going on every single week. New reviews. We got crazy thumbnails. It's a good time, dude. Come check out the YouTube page, really. Our audio listeners, we were always thinking about you guys over on Spotify, Google Play, iHeartMedia, iTunes, of course, the king of podcasts, queen of podcasts, they, them podcasts. And yeah, I'm running out of gas. Oh, our website, offscriptfilmreview.com, and you can email us correspondence directly, mail at offscriptfilmreview.com. I think that's the bag, Andy. The black bag. Yeah. From all of us.
That's right.
Oscar, the home of Bold Cinema. I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.